everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for today's webinar in our instructor training series. Today's webinar is tips to increase student engagement. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'll be walking you through these tips throughout the Teach account in both the Learn mode and in the instructor gradebook side. If you do happen to have any questions throughout my session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A box in the bottom of the Zoom screen, and I'll reserve some time at the end of our meeting to address those questions. And with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So as we get started today, I'm going to cover the following: how to utilize Learn in your classroom, how to set assignment reminders, our lesson late penalty, reviewing your course curriculum and modifying your curriculum, and how to review your questions in Assignment Builder. Assignment Reviewer. We will be looking at Assignment Builder too. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, everybody. All right, so you should be able to see my Learn mode here. I pulled up my psychology account in the student dashboard. Now, according to which title you're using Hawks in, which we have multiple disciplines, they range from math, English, economics, psychology. Your Learn features may look a little different. Personally, I love our psychology Learn mode, and so I wanted to demonstrate with that particular one. So just wanted to share that clarification though. As you see on my screen, we have the pages option where we can skip to particular objectives here. So as you're in class, if there's a particular objective, an example that you'd like to discuss, you can pull it up on your smartboard, or if it's a virtual class on Zoom or WebEx, whatever feature you use, and share your screen just like I am with you all right now. You can encourage students to chat in the chat box in your virtual classroom, any discussions that they would like to share, and Learn is a great way to prompt those discussions. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. Before I jump into skipping around these pages here that you can see, I do want to point out our watch feature. Most of you are probably very familiar with that, but the watch button is going to be where any of our lesson level videos are featured. So that could be a great way to start off lecture, or again, prompt a discussion with your class. Within the psychology title, specifically, we have our flash forward boxes, and that's where you can be tied to our verified Quizlet set. Personally, I just love that feature so much. So I'm just going to click on it to show you what that looks like. So in Quizlet, you can go through the terminology, and you can utilize that through flashcards here. So I'll just click start here. You can also match. So it allows you to play a matching game. So that could be a great way to allow students to get a little bit more hands-on and telling you which one goes with which term. I'm not going to do that right now, but just to show you can drop those, drag and drop to match. You can also make a little test. So if you wanted to test the students and have everyone raise their hands or chat in the chat box their answers, just to go through a review together. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the previous area here. And we'll jump back into those that Learn mode here. Let me exit out of here though. Sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting back to where I wanted to be. Let me just go back to my Teach account. I'm so sorry, guys. There we go. It was in another tab. All right. So we saw how we can jump into those Quizlet sets together. I'll go back to my full screen here. And From here, we can skip around the pages. Of course, we have different examples within the Learn pages, as well as further resources. So in this example, there's a TED Talk that you could link and watch together as a class. And again, just prompt that discussion here. We also have on your own opportunities. So these are great questions to ask the class and engage in conversation. So a student could answer by raising their hand, and then you can further discuss why that is the answer. I won't skip through all of these, but we even have group activities that are specific for group in class activity time. So these are some great ways to engage the class as well. Again, according to the title that you're using in class with talks, these resources may look a little different, but plenty of great resources in the Learn mode. Now, I'd like to go ahead and move on to the instructor dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have an example grade book pulled up in this other tab here. So first of all, I'd like to talk to you all about assignment reminders. This is such a fabulous area of the tools tab that you can utilize as an instructor. In the tools tab in communications area, there's this little bell icon and it's called reminders. If you haven't used this before, I definitely encourage you to give it a try for this upcoming spring term. The instructors that I work with who do use it, they love it. And so I definitely encourage you to give it a try. So with our reminders tool, this will allow you to edit your section to have a particular reminder that goes out automatically all throughout the semester. So in this example, I have it set to send a reminder one day before certification is due, just helping the students with pacing themselves through the course, having that extra accountability along the way. So anything you see in the brackets here is going to auto-populate with that particular information. So, dear Sarah, I'd like to remind you that on January 22nd, lesson 2.2 is going to be due. Anything outside of the brackets is available to edit. So if you wanted to change the signature to something different, you can, or any of the verbiage you can, but anything in those brackets is going to auto-populate for you. Again, all you have to do is set up this template and it's hands-free for the rest of the term, and you're still providing that extra accountability for the students. Another way we can keep the students accountable is through our lesson late penalty. So by default, we don't have a penalty set for any late homework submissions. If you're interested in doing that, that's going to be in our grade settings tab here and late penalty. So here we can set up a penalty that's either fixed or graduated. So if we wanted it to always be half credit, we can keep it fixed here, or we can do a graduated penalty. These number of graduations are very flexible. They go all the way up to 50. I've never seen anyone do up to 50, but it just shows how flexible it is. So you may consider doing a week where you steadily increase the graduation. After the first day it's late, it's 10% off, 20% off for the next day, and then you cap it at a week. So it's very flexible. If you have any questions about customizing that, you can always reach out to our support team, and we're happy to help you execute what you have in mind. Another area that we can look at together as we consider how to best engage our students throughout the term is how to customize our curriculum. So we're going to do that under the assignments tab here. Oh, here's our pop-up to make sure you save your changes. That's very important. We'll always try to remind you before you exit out. Under the assignments area, we have our curriculum. And in our curriculum, we have a ready to assign curriculum that our course developers have created. So if you want to use that, you certainly can. It will just say default curriculum here. Here's my example curriculum here. If it's your first time making one, it will prompt you upon clicking your section to go ahead and enter a name for your curriculum and saving the changes. You want to make sure you do that, else you won't be able to click on any of the lesson names here below. But since I already have a custom name, I can click on my lessons. So your lessons are customizable. When you click on the lesson name, it'll open up that assignment builder tool in a new tab, and it will show you your homework questions on the right that have been chosen for this particular homework lesson. And then the entire question bank for that particular lesson is on the left. So if you'd like to add more questions, in this example, there's 17 questions with 17 steps. If you'd like to lessen that load or add more questions, you can do so by using the add and remove buttons. You can also adjust the mastery level here, and the strikes will automatically allocate. And then additionally, this little settings wheel here will allow you to open up Learn, where you can further customize Learn. So especially if you're utilizing Learn, like we talked about at the beginning of my presentation, you may consider adding other footnotes for the students to review later, or maybe even embedding extra videos. So some great ideas there, and how you can customize Learn. And of course, anytime you make changes, save at the bottom. Now, since this opened in a new tab, I'm going to go back to that main curriculum area. And I do want to just touch on what we call our global settings here at the top. Now, as you're going through your course, you'll be able to check in the reports area how your students are progressing. Are they submitting assignments on time? Are they bypassing Learn and Practice and going straight into the Certify? If so, is it becoming a guessing game in Certify, or are they truly learning through the experience? So sometimes instructors may see students skip Learn and Practice, and they want to make sure they're utilizing that practice mode because it has so many wonderful resources. And that way, by the time the student gets to Certify, they feel confident and comfortable to demonstrate their understanding and, most importantly, their mastery of the topics in that lesson. So some instructors do prefer to go ahead and require practice, and that can look a little different according to what you have in mind. So, for example, we could require practice from the get-go. We could say before they can open Certify, they have to complete 100% of practice. Or alternatively, you could say after they miss Certify the first time, that's okay, but we want to make sure they complete at least 80% of practice before they try Certify again. So there's a way you can make sure students are really utilizing those features such as the tutor mode, step-by-step, immediate feedback in that practice mode, which is very valuable. Additionally, we have our flex mastery. This would allow the students to retry a missed question with new values instead of receiving a strike. This is really helpful in just providing an extra measure of grades for the student. Maybe it was a way that they entered the answer and they really knew the answer. They just had a little bit of an error with answer entry, or possibly just had a quick typo, which is easy to do. So this would just allow them to retry that question instead of taking that strike. That can really help with student frustration if they're having some trouble adapting to online homework. That can just give them that extra opportunity to make up for any type errors. I will just promo practice one more time, because when it comes to especially mathematical answer entries with radicals, exponents, fraction, brackets, all those special mathematical values, it's really important that the student utilize the practice mode and getting acquainted with how to enter those answers using our keypad. In that mode, it's penalty free. They can get used to entering those answers. By the time they get to Certify, and of course their test time, hopefully they'll feel confident in how to enter those answers. Also, you can adjust the question order in practice. So right now we have it set to random, but you can also do it to low to high, high to low, or the serial number. If you do the serial number, that will allow you to organize the questions and then save, and then we'll just adhere to that. That way you organize the question order. That's what that serial number means. And then you can apply that to practice. So those are just some other ways that you can further customize the curriculum. One other way I'd like to discuss how you can customize your curriculum is by considering any previous terms that you've taught with Fox and looking back at the questions. How did the students do in those questions? Were there any outliers where you feel they were getting a little stuck? Sometimes those are just questions that are a little more challenging. We have to talk through as a class, and that's okay, but sometimes you may consider just changing that question type with a different one. So the way that we can review that is through our assignment reviewer tool, and that's under our reports tab. Now, I'm in an example gradebook here that does not have any example data. So I'd like to just pause my screen share for just a moment and pull up my example gradebook that does have example data so that we can look at that together. Hopefully it will load. It's taking a minute here. I think it's because I have so many things open. Yeah, it signed me out. All right. We'll jump back in. I'll resume sharing. All right, so as you can see, this is a college algebra example gradebook with example data. I'm just going to go to that reports tab in our assignment reviewer. If you've trained with me, you know I love this tool. It's one of my favorites, and I call it the shining star of the reports tab because we get so much information, so many helpful analytics from this tool. So if you are newer to Hawks or maybe a returning Hawks instructor, I definitely encourage you to explore this tool. As I open assignment reviewer, it opens in a new tab, and I can see my submission status bar graph. From here, I can see all of my lessons that I have assigned. So if this is a previous term that you're going to review, you can always pull this that previous term from the drop-down menu and use it to compare how the students did. So for example, if I wanted to see how my students did in 1.1, I can see my initial student roster and how the students did in mastering, how many attempts they had, and also how much time they spent in learn, practice, and certify. These numbers here are very telling, especially when it comes to office hour time. But the thing that I want to look at together specifically is the analytics tab. This page will allow us to see a breakdown on the individual questions of that lesson. So we can see on question number 1, almost half of the class got this one incorrect. So there's a couple of different things we can do with that information. One, we can review it by clicking on the serial number or even just the bar graph. It'll give us a quick example of that question. Since this page has no student data, we can actually share our screen here in the classroom and use this as a discussion point and just talk about, well, why were you having some trouble? Let's talk through those points that we got stuck along the way. Additionally, you can always just take a screenshot and share this, maybe post it in your school LMS with just a few quick notes on how the students can go about it next time in solving the problem. Also, if you look at this question and you say, well, I think I want to change that out with a different question for this upcoming semester. Let's just try something a little different. You can just note that serial number. So in this example, it was serial number 7. And then when you go back to your assignment builder that we were just in for the curriculum, you can look at lesson 1.1. You can look at that serial number 7 and either keep it or remove it and replace with another question from the question bank. So just some different ways that we can really meet the students' needs and help address any issues along the way, especially any hiccups that they're having on particular questions that may be a little more challenging for them, really addressing where that root issue is and talking through it as a class together, whether that's individually or collectively as class. Really, that's everything I wanted to share with you all, and I really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions at this time, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A box. I am going to stop sharing my screen. It looks like we have one question. Okay, so Julie, hi Julie, she has a question. Do all curriculum have the flash forward Quizlet included? Julie, not at this time. We have that for the psychology title. That's a great question. Thank you. And if anyone else has any questions, again, feel free to enter those into the chat box now, or not the chat box, the Q&A area. I'll just pause a moment to see if we have any other questions come in. Of course, if you have any questions, come up later. If you're just reflecting on today's presentation and you think of something later, you can always give us a call, chat with us online, or email us. And we're always happy to discuss your questions with you and see how we can help. I'm happy to share these reminders. I'm glad they're helpful. So I will go ahead and close out today. I want to be mindful of your time, everyone. I do hope that these tips were helpful and will be helpful for the upcoming spring semester. I wish you all a happy new year and a wonderful spring semester as we approach this new year. And please just let us know if you have any questions that come up later. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday and take care. Bye, everybody.